Hello, hello, hello. What's up, people? How you doing today? What's going on, my friends? Good to see you all here. I hope you're having a good week. All things considered, it is a Thursday as we move into a no football for us weekend again, which is very frustrating, I think, in general. But yeah, quite a bit to talk about there. I wanted to talk about some of the stuff around the coaches. I want to talk about some of the news about Elliot Anderson. I want to talk about some of the stuff around the sales United are making, Rasmus Højlund, Marcus Rashford, these things to be expected that we're not going to worry about. And I want to talk about our current kind of form and where we're at, and the part that does worry me, because there's things to worry about and there's things not to worry about. And there are a few things to worry about in general. So we talk about that. What's up, guys, though? Hello, Smokey. Hello, Silly. Hello, KF. Hello, everybody. Yes, how y'all doing today? And an interesting message in the chat there from Mohit talking about, because I didn't get a chance to listen to Talk of the Devils, but apparently Andy Mitten talking about there's a few potential options in Spain that would raise some eyebrows. I believe I've covered the ones. I'll be honest, we'll talk about that in a second, but I believe I've covered the potential names. I believe I've covered the potential names. If there's an additional one, then great. But I put Barrios in the space a few weeks ago. A few months ago, actually. Kamavinga, Tchouaméni. The thing is, I'm not mainstream. I don't think Andy Mitten watches my stuff. So there's been very little to no talk about any of those players from anybody else. So I would take it as nobody else is really reporting on those things. If it's not those names that Andy's referring to, cool. There's Javi Guerra. If it's somebody totally different, brilliant. But I suspect it may be those names that I have brought up in recent times again recently, that I've brought up, put in the videos, all of that on our list of midfielders. It could well be those guys. But that is rather interesting. And it's exciting to me in that I get very happy when I hear guys like Andy Mitten talking about things, referring to stuff happening, because stuff I hear, a lot of the stuff around recruitment, when I talk about it and I make my big lists and I do all of that shit, it's big lists. It's early lists. It's lots of players. And then it starts to get narrowed down. When people like Andy Mitten or other top journalists start referencing individuals, I know those are narrowing down into topics. The fact that he would still say we're looking at some guys in Spain, what does that tell me? Even if they're names we already know or that we've talked about here on this channel, what it would tell me is that, importantly, we're still considering alternative names and considering not just what's in England, which of course we should be, because there are good players elsewhere. What if we miss out on Anderson? What if we miss out on Tonali? What if we miss out on Bruno G? What if we missed out on a bunch of these guys? Do we have other top options? Do we have other alternatives? Do we have other choices? We do. So it's good that besides just that we're going to get some sort of midfielder in the Premier League, that we've got eyes elsewhere in addition to that. So yeah, I think that's a really, really important thing to say. But we'll come back to recruitment in a minute. All right. I want to talk specifically about the current form and why it is concerning, because I look, here's the reality of things. Okay. Our current, I think I explained this at some point, but obviously United are going to have an idea of how they see the rest of the season going in order meeting their goals for Champions League. These are the points we need to be at. These are the marks we need to hit, all of that. Are we still on track? Of course. We've got a lot of points. We're still in third place as of right now on an equal match day. There's no doubt about that. We're going to be expected to win a good majority of the games upcoming because they are against lower opposition. But that doesn't mean it's all okay. And everybody knows that we're not good enough. I've been saying this the whole year, okay? This squad is not good enough. It could get Champions League. but it's fine margins. 4th through 8th, not maybe 4th through 6th now. Maybe it's narrowed a little bit, actually. But 4th through 6th, there's not a lot of difference. 3rd through 6th, there's not a lot of difference between the sides. There's not a big gap. It's quite narrow. It's quite small. And we could finish anywhere in that bracket and it wouldn't be a surprise because that's the team that we have. It has shortcomings. It has all of this. The only issue I would say is that suddenly it's being acknowledged. Well, not by the club. The club have acknowledged it. But by the majority of people at large, suddenly, what was supposed to fix everything, when people were giving me a hard time about when I was saying, look, the squad isn't good enough. I remember that tweet getting posted under me every single time when I'm saying, really, you think the squad's good enough? No, the squad's never been good enough. Question, of course, is good enough for what? The squad's never been good enough to be competitive. The squad still has massive holes, and it's not good enough where you could say shoe in for 3rd or Champions League. It's not. It's going to be hard to get Champions League. Not easy, hard. I think it's possible. I think it's still the more likely scenario, but anything could happen between 3rd and 6th, and you never know in that instance what could happen. There's a lot of ways that this could go good. There's a lot of ways that this could go bad. But the thing to me is that I'll keep beating the drum on is this, right? Performances are the best indication of future results, and I'm going to share with you guys in a moment some somewhat scary numbers. And I mean actually scary, okay? I was looking at it and I was just like, because I've done, the charts and things kind of showing the graphs and whatnot, and I look at it and I'm just going, do we have to worry or not? One second. Do we have to worry or not? Where are we really at? And this is my concern, and it's very hilarious that guys, I'll get to transfers, Anderson, Graham Bailey stuff in a little bit. This is my concern. All right. Here's performances are a strong predictor of future results, more than results themselves. Okay. And we've seen this with Aston Villa. We've seen it with a lot of other teams. We've even seen it with Wolves, who haven't been that bad. But anyway, here's a graph. Okay. I mean, just scoot it over so you guys can see it properly. This is expected goals versus expected goals against. Obviously, the orange is ours, and the blue is our opposition's. This is where this is Amarim's final game. This is Burnley. This is City, the big spike. So this was Carrick's first game. This is a strong, strong, strong decline. And this is now with this latest entry, is an upwards trend on what was essentially flat. This was AFCON. All right. So you look at that and you go, all right, that's a bit concerning. And you don't know, I'm not saying it's a manager's fault. I'm not saying it's a this fault or that fault. The team's performances are in a strong decline. And here's where it gets really scary. All right. You ready for this? I apologize to show you this, but it is to me terrifying. Okay. I'm going to scroll up and you're going to see something way worse. This is our expected goals versus expected goals against 11v11. We've had red cards against Spurs. We've had red card against Palace, and we've had a red card against Newcastle. Now, the amusing one about the Newcastle one is that we actually got beat 11 versus 10 on all measures. They didn't luck into that victory. They destroyed us. That's the graph at 11v11. It's bad. It's really bad. Our expected goals and performances have crashed massively in 11v11 situations to the worst that they've been in years. Our expected goals have gone back to an 11v11, have gone back to last season's numbers. We are getting on average less than 1 per game in 11v11 situations since the City game. That is a real concern. Okay. So if you don't like graphs, this won't bother you at all. If you do and you understand them, you'll understand why this is a bit terrifying. Okay. Performances matter. Okay. Performances matter. Now, look, our defense is strong in 11v11 situations, But it seems like that's all we've really done is tightened up a lot, but at the cost of a lot of chances and opportunities to win games. Now, maybe we'll keep getting not lucky because we do earn red cards and things like that and everything. But those performances, those levels are of serious concern. They do tell you, hey, you got to watch out. You got to be careful here because it is dipping. Our creativity has gone into a hole. It used to be, we were creating well throughout the entire team. That the attacking patterns, variations, and all of that was very, very different. Now, our attacking pattern is pretty much non-existent. We've set up to defend. We've set up in a block. We've done all of that. It's a worry. And it's a worry in the sense of just take a look at it, right? Look at what's been going on the last few games because it is problematic. It is poor. It is a little bit scary. And the performance against Newcastle should be a wake-up call. And what I said in the week leading up to this last weekend is that I'd rather we start to try and get a bit proactive on trying to fix things that are obviously problems instead of trying to just ride it out like we're doing and then, ride out what we're doing and see if we can fix it. Now, look, like I said, it's not Carrick's fault the team is the way it is. But it is slightly ironic because I'm looking at the team and I'm going, well, every inclination I would make to change the team moves us back to how we were playing earlier on in the season. We have a bunch of forwards that prefer to play narrow, but now we don't play a formation that has them playing narrow, right? So then they're struggling out wide. We have a terrible time with our fullbacks recently, but we were using Ahmad at fullback earlier this season, and everybody knew when Ahmad wasn't at wingback, we were terrible. So these are known issues, but we've almost got a squad that now fits the 3-4-3 that we were playing in strengths better than what we're playing right now. We still have a two-man midfield. We're still getting overloaded in the midfield by every team every single week. It's still happening because we're still playing a two-man midfield. Bruno's up front. There's really no difference in the problems that we're having at the moment. It's just the truth of it. So we have big holes, and in some ways, outside of getting more defensively solid, in sitting back in deeper, we're not really moving, it's actually exposing more some of the holes that are in the team than it was before. I didn't believe when we started and made this change originally that suddenly the formation suited everybody better. It just suited some players better and other players worse. Now I'm watching people, here's the crazy part, right? Now I'm watching people go, Brian Mbeumo is shit. Well, what happened? What do you mean Brian Mbeumo is shit? What do you mean Brian Mbeumo is shit? People have been talking about how he's the best player around and he's a winger and now he can play where he wants to be. What do you mean Brian Mbeumo is shit? What does that mean? I raised the problem of when we switched this that we wouldn't be able to get Cunha, Šeško, and Mbeumo and Ahmad on at the same time. And it was hand wave. And now it's, Carrick, what the hell? Why didn't you start Ahmad? And it's screaming about now Mbeumo's shit. No, he's not. Mbeumo's one of the best players in the league. He's been one of the best forwards in the league this whole season. He's not shit. He's not suddenly bad. He's sitting out there in a position with fullbacks who offer absolutely zero offensive support, can't pass the ball. The movement in the box is static. The movement of the midfield around him is static. He's having to hustle back and do even more defending than he's ever had to do. He's not suddenly shit. Yes, he's had a bad game, but we used to say when they have a bad game, it was all the coach's fault. It's not. It's not how it works. And now it's like everybody's shit. These guys are all shit again. What are we doing here, man? We're trying to lump the ball up to Trippier 17 times yesterday, which I counted, by the way. I think it was 16 times. We tried to launch the ball up to target Trippier. What are we doing? I thought we were going to try and do build-up better. You know what I mean? And it's not to say that Mbeumo doesn't have a bad game in him and that some of these players have a bad game in him, but suddenly it's like all these players are shit. No, they're not. No, they're not. The reality is that the way we were playing before had holes in the team. The way we are playing now has holes in the team. And the easy and only answer has always been all season that we do not have a good enough squad. We have weaknesses across the board and they don't mesh together well. And you're always doing a trade-off. All we've done is traded one weakness for another weakness. Now we're terrible in open play out of possession. If we're not settled in deep, terrible. In the middle third and in the final third out of possession, our pressing, our block in the middle, it's awful. It's non-existent. But our back third is a little better. That's why we're conceding fewer goals, because we've set up more compactly to defend in our own third, but we've sacrificed the middle and front thirds for it. So in the past, in the previous, we started the season and up through that point, and we were good in the front third, the final third, one of the best teams in the league in the final third, and we were bad in our own third, and we've just flipped them around. That's all we've done. We've traded one weakness for one weakness, one strength for one strength, and that's the reality of our situation because we do not have a team that is good enough for it. We could still get Champions League. We can still win games. We can still do all of that. Of course we can. And should still be ideally the standard, and I still have hope. But it's not a surprise that the performances have dipped. It's not a surprise that we have this problem. And instead of suddenly going, well, no, it's that player's just shit and that's why. All right, I mean, what the hell, man? Players miss chances. The only reason we're even in the last few games is because Palace's forwards and Everton's forwards were so crap. Newcastle's would have beat us 5-0 if their forwards were any good. So we can't just point at a bad game from our forwards and say, that's it. That's why we lost now. No. It goes both ways on that front. We're losing the battles all over the pitch. Everywhere right now. And it's making it worse. So I don't know what the answer is because it's been the same earlier in the season. When I was when it was Amram, I said the same thing. What can he do? I feel like I'm the only person who hasn't been a hypocrite on this. What can Carrick do? Because people were saying Amram could do this and do all of that, and now they're saying, well, Carrick can't do anything. No, none of them can fucking do anything because the squad isn't good enough. Nothing can be done. Nothing can be done right now. It's March. There's nothing we can do about it that'll work. We can only try something different and trade one thing for another. We can trade one thing for another. We can trade one weakness for another weakness. So we've gone to the midfield and we said, good, we're going to trade our passing. Now Casemiro is going to try to pass the ball forward, and that's
Attacking
it.
Metrics are worse when you strip out games against 10 men. With Amorim, we had issues conceding high XG chances. Now we've flipped.
Correct. Exactly that. It's like, I don't know, man. We put on Tyrell Malacia instead of academy players. No outrage. Where was the outrage that we put on Tyrell Malacia instead of a youth attacker? Why did we bring Tyrell Malacia? There's just so much hypocrisy. And you know what I said when the whole academy thing blew up? I said it's all about Cobby. As long as Cobby is playing, all of this goes away because the whole academy uproar was bullshit. It's disappeared the moment Cobby started playing. It was all about Cobby Mainoo. That was it. It's always been about Cobby Mainoo. Now Cobby's playing and playing poorly, and the uproar is gone. Where you could go put on a guy who's leaving in 3 months that has no place in his team over academy players, and there's no more uproar. The uproar was ridiculous before. I don't think Carrick should be throwing on academy players right now for no reason either. It's never been about that. There's so much hypocrisy that's gone on over the last few months. And that part does irritate the crap out of me. And it's very, very frustrating, right? Because that was always bullshit. I called it out many times. I said, it's not the academy, it's Cobby. That's the only thing people will actually want to see, right? And that was that. So anyway, it's like, it's whatever. I don't think there's much of anything that Carrick can do with this right now. I'd be happy to see him try stuff. You know, I'd be happy to see him try stuff. But personally, like I said, why not just put Bruno deep? And I suggested that in the pre-match. And a lot of people are very upset about the idea. Why not? Why not put him in deep? What's the point? Why not put him in deep? You know? Why not put Bruno deep? He's doing it anyway. We're getting no ball progression from deep right now. Bruno's dropping out of the front three, the front line, to go and try and progress the ball. Why not just put Bruno deep? He's not giving you less out of possession than Cobby right now. To me, it's like we're forcing it in and we're losing on that basis right now. It's not working. It hasn't been working for 3 or 4 games. We've been winning in spite of things not working, not because of. So you could try it, but then you're going to get into the politics of of back to Bruno deep in a 2-man midfield, and people are going to freak out. But yeah, Bruno deep, Ahmad out wide. Wouldn't we be better? Bruno deep, Cunha in the center, Ahmad and Mbeumo on the wings, Šeško in the middle. Wouldn't we be better? Getting Ahmad back into free air, into one-on-one positions, getting your best players on the pitch. Wouldn't we be better? Probably. But can't do that. We can't do that. You know? Can't do that now. You know, I hope we can. I do worry, though, about the politics of the whole matter now, the image of the whole matter, the pressure of the matter, that we can't make decisions. You know what I mean? You know, that we can't make these types of decisions now. I'm worried about that, you know? And I look at it and go, why is Bruno up front anyway? Why the hell are we pressing? Stop. That was one thing we could do right now where we'd be a lot better. Stop pressing. Please, please, I'm begging, stop pressing. Please stop pressing. It's the most pointless thing in the world to press from the front with your midfield being backed up by Casemiro and Cobby. It is making the problem so much worse when we are pressing from the front. We rarely win the ball back. 9 times out of 10, they play right through us and they walk into our final third. And then we get bailed out by Lamens and Maguire. That's the truth, right? Stop pressing. Stop pressing. Stop pressing. There's no point in pressing right now. We didn't press against City. We didn't press against Arsenal except very occasionally. And we sat deeper in a mid-block and they stopped cutting through us. We've gone away from that, where we've started now trying to reintegrate the press again because we're supposed to have more of the ball. Forget it. I don't care if we play a deep block without pressing for the next 9 games, because we will win more games doing that than trying to go press with this team. We will win more games doing that. And I'm okay. I don't care about style. I'm not looking at Carrick right now for style. I get the results aspect. The results are what matter, and we've gotten them. But to get the next 9, to get what we need out of the next 9, we're going to need to make changes. And that's one of the things. If you want to stick with the same team, stop pressing. If you want to press, you have to put Ugarte in the midfield. You don't have a choice. You literally do not have a choice. You can't do this. It doesn't work. It's creating a giant open midfield.
We played cup football in the last 3 to 4 games and it was coming. My only hope is we aren't falling apart like Villa. Folded hands emoji.
But that's the warning sign, right? Is Aston Villa. That they had crap. It was crap. And they were winning, but you could always tell it was coming. You know? Right, exactly, DB. It's 9 games. I don't give a shit about style. I don't care about the DNA. I don't care about the attacking for the next 9 games. Doesn't matter. Go full on deep block, counter-attacking football with speed demons out wide and in the middle with Šeško, with Ahmad, with Mbeumo. I don't care. Have Bruno pinging those long balls all day and we will score and we will win and I will celebrate. And I will be extremely happy, and it'll get us into Champions League where we can fix the problems we need to fix. That's it. It's 9 games. We're not getting points for style at this point in the season. But you do get points for performance. We can grind wins out that way. But if we keep doing what we're doing, it's going to get worse and worse. If Maguire picks up an injury, we're finished. And I mean that seriously. Maguire picks up an injury, it's all over. The guy is saving our ass every single game with the box defending that he does. If he's out, it's over. And that's one of the biggest improvements we've seen in the defending as well, is him coming back fit. And that worries me because Maguire hasn't strung 20 games together in quite a long time. And we're going to ask him to finish the season. You know, so it's I have those concerns. I have those concerns at the moment. You know, if we're gonna go for winning on the forwards, let's go all in on that, because we have been winning on some of the brilliance of the forwards. Let's go all in on that. You know what I mean? Palace win 3-1. Spurs are getting relegated, man. Anyway, let's go all in on that, right? That's what I'm looking at. Let's go all in on that idea. Then let's settle in deep. Let's not open up and press, and let's not chase for the future, right? Let's just settle in and don't press. Hold that strong mid block. Let teams come to us and go get them and then go hit them. And we'll probably be better in the next few games. And it still will be harder to watch, but it won't be what we've seen recently where we're just getting ran through over and over. 35 crosses. The fact Everton hit 35 crosses against us. The fact that they were allowed to do 35 crosses and 10 corners tells you just how much we were getting outplayed on the pitch in that game. Yes, we were able to knock them all away, but why don't we just commit to that idea of playing deep, hitting them on the break? That's how we beat Everton. That's how Šeško got that goal. I'm okay with that. It's fine with me, but let's commit to that idea. Let's commit to that idea. Right? But yeah, it's hard because any decision that Carrick could make is going to have trade-offs. It's going to be taking one problem and creating a new one, because that is the state of the team. So it's, again, it ain't a manager discussion for me. It never has been. This whole season, it's not about the manager. It's about the squad. As long as we're in that 3 to 6, 4 to 6 bracket, we're doing about as good as could be expected. And I don't think it's even worth talking too much about the manager. But obviously, sitting here looking at the results, looking at where we're at, we're obviously going to discuss maybe what could we do to improve the performances and turn things around. And, you know, and that's what I'm thinking. Now, speaking then of coaches, we've had stories, right? We've had stories from Ben Jacobs and others saying Carlo Ancelotti and Thomas Tuchel are not in the race. They just signed new contracts. We know. Thank you. It says De Zerbi, Nagelsmann, Roberto Martinez are names being discussed at the moment. Pochettino and Kieran McKenna are still appreciated, but are not expected to be front runners for the job. Look, all I can say is this. I don't think that I wouldn't put much stock in the idea that anybody is as of yet a front runner in that sense. What United are doing at the moment, as far as I know, what they've been lining up is to talk to coaches, is to get in touch with coaches, is to evaluate coaches, and is to hopefully set up appointments, set up discussions with coaches during a break, to have some discussions with them during the break, right? And to figure out who they want. As I've said before, Julian Nagelsmann is absolutely somebody who is admired. And United, I've been saying that for months, to be fair, that Nagelsmann as well, even when Ineos first came in, even before Vivell was there, Nagelsmann was somebody that was considered at that time, and there was some discussions there, but he had committed to Germany at that point in time and was recommitted to Germany. Now, the question in this whole situation is not necessarily who do United want? Okay. This is just my impression of the situation and understanding. It's not who do United want. It's who's available and who would be willing to come to United. That's a bigger question. Tuchel would have been a front runner if he'd been willing to come to United. Ancelotti would have been a front runner if he'd been willing to come to United. Nagelsmann will be a strong candidate if he's willing to come to United. Discussions will happen to determine whether there is a willingness to open the door, to have those talks, to figure things out with him. And there will be others as well. As I've said about Roberto Martinez, he's certainly somebody well known to the United, Ineos hierarchy, I should say, has been somebody long talked to, long spoken with, long, known to them. I don't know that there's much presently in actual interest on that front. The other names are just names that we maintained an interest in from before that are still interested. McKenna, Pochettino, De Zerbi are all people that we've spoken and that we spoke with when we sacked Ten Hag, before we sacked Ten Hag, when we were supposed to sack Ten Hag. We spoke to all of them. They will continue to be of interest. We will likely have contact with all of them in the coming weeks to determine where are they at, and then see who's actually interested in the job. From there, formalize a bit of a short list. From there, pursue some more discussions and all of that. As I've said before, I wouldn't say that Carrick is the favorite for the job, but I would also say that potentially due to the lack of options, he could very much be in that race if he does a good job to the end of the season and all of that. It's not exactly game by game, but it's going to be the body of work as we continue moving forward. Everything is adding to his resume. If we end up turning this around, getting back on track, going forward, then it'll be hopefully a lot. Then he'll likely be involved further in that discussion. If we scrape through and things are dragging and it's looking bad, obviously that is going to have a reflection on that as well. Happy birthday, Marcus! I hope you're doing well, my friend. I hope you're feeling better. But the biggest thing that I would just say on this front is that at the moment, it's about discussing, making some basic contacts with coaches, having some further discussions, getting more specific answers on who would be willing to join, so that who's available, so that we can start to do our short list. And it's the same with recruitment. When you're doing recruitment, you have all these lists, you have all these names, you have all these people you're looking at. The first thing there is making contact to find out their situation. Are they willing to leave their current position, be it, position or team? What are the costs associated? What would be possible? What are all of those things? And then you start to build out your short list based on that and figuring it out from there. And that's kind of the phase we're at. They definitely have started the process. They definitely have been assessing candidates. They definitely have some idea of the guys that they like. But they need to hold further discussions, probably during the break, to figure out who would be willing, able, all of that kind of stuff. Happy birthday to Sir Marcus Stevenson. There you go, Racky. Thank you, my friend. And a belated birthday to you, Smokey, my friend. So that's kind of where we're at there. I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about the specifics of the matter, or the specifics of the situation in terms of like, who's this or who's that in terms of a favorite as of right this moment. Again, I do believe that during the break, we will start to hear some more about this in general. We will hear some more about all of this in general during the time. Now, some news otherwise, some transfers and things like that, that we could look at. This is one thing, which is obviously a very, very good sign. Wrong one. That's the bad graph, which is that United are optimistic to get 80 million from Højlund and Rashford permanent exits in June. Now, we knew this. As I've said before, it's very likely with Napoli that they're going to be buying Højlund at that price, pretty much whatever happens. And we already know as well that the Rashford deal is getting done. Now, we factored that in. Even if we get Europa, it's not all doom and gloom, my friends. Even if we get Europa, we will still have money to spend. Don't you worry about that. I'm not saying we'll have as much. Obviously, it's going to be affected by this, but we will have money to spend even if we are in Europa League. Will we keep some of the staff? That's up in the air. Nothing discussed on that yet. They really don't want to get into discussing the long term yet with anybody. Maybe during the break a little bit more, but not as of yet. Just hasn't really been discussed as far as I know. There's a story that Anderson the City has done. I don't believe that to be the case. I'm not saying he might not go there, because again, he might. He very much might. Might be too hard to do it. If we miss out on Champions League, I think you could say goodbye to a few people. Tonali, Bruno G, Anderson, all of that, which is once again why I suspect we also have, of course, our different, why we have our different targets and names and things like that. And someone was referencing here, so I want to make sure giving credit that Andy Mitten mentioned on the Talk of the Devils podcast as well, which I usually listen, I haven't today yet, was that there are some names in Spain that are that it could raise some eyebrows, things like that. Now, I'm pretty sure he mentioned that in reference to midfield and all of that. So yeah, but as I was saying at the start of the video today, I believe I'm quite certain in saying United are continuing to be monitoring available to the situations of Tchouaméni and Camavinga. Should Madrid go for a big midfielder and want to shift one, or should one of those players be looking to potentially leave? Now, in addition to that, there is Barrios at Atletico Madrid that I know United have looked at. There is Javi Guerra at Villarreal, I want to say, that United have looked at. There is also Fermin Lopez at Barcelona that United have looked at in the different situations over the time. And so I think that it could be that he's referencing any one of those players that we know, that I know and we know are on our list. Let's see if that comes to pass, if it's one of those that pops up. It's important, I think, for United to have alternatives to the matter, given, this Valencia, thank you. Alternatives to the matter, to the options in England, because we may not necessarily get our top targets in England, though we are definitely looking for them. I still believe Baleba will be potentially a very likely signing in that sense. Is a strong possibility still. Me personally, if you were to ask me right now, after yesterday's game, when I'm looking at it, who I would really like, then my answer would be, I would be going for right now Tonali. Like, let's say we couldn't get Anderson, but we could get Tonali. I would get Tonali, Baleba, and João Gomez if I had to get 3 players right now. I think that would be really nice. I'm really high on João Gomez at the moment. And every time I watch him, I'm still so impressed. And if Wolves go down, which is still most likely, and you could get him for 30 million, it might be one of the best buys you could do in terms of having squad depth. When you're talking about, hey, could we pull somebody onto the pitch? Could we get somebody onto the pitch? Could we do something like that? Then that, depth signing at the 6, rotations, all of that. João Gomez is just so good. He just really is. He just really, really is. He's just really good. Really, really helpful. Just one of the best value players that we could get. You know what I mean? That's how I see João Gomez. Wharton, I still really like Wharton. I'm impressed with him again today. But you do have to bear in mind, if you sign Adam Wharton, you have to sign like a Baleba next to him. You need pretty much a demon midfield, physically athletic winner next to him. It has to be. And you can almost never, to me, play Wharton and Cobby. It's exactly what we're doing right now. Casemiro and Wharton are actually statistically 2 of the most similar players. I remember there was something about 2 years ago comparing them, and they were like the 2 most similar players in all of Europe to each other was Wharton and Casemiro. They're mostly the same. And unfortunately, that's not like prime physical athletic Casemiro, because Casemiro was much more of a workhorse out of possession back in the day, right? In terms of the ground he could cover and the physical traits and all that. Wharton is kind of like present day Casemiro, but a bit less erratic and very, very good on the ball. Very, very good on the ball. But you still have the same problem in that midfield. So, and that's okay. If you want to sign Wharton, and he is a good player, and he's definitely been of interest to United for a long time, cool. then you're going to have to get Baleba and probably João Gomez, and you're going to have to mix it up a lot in terms of how you run things. But you can't just sign him to slot into the midfield as is set up right now. But look, I don't think that Anderson is like off the table or something like that. Like at all. Mateus Fernandes is definitely another really good one. Mateus Fernandes is definitely a really good one. But yeah, Wharton is definitely in possession, going to be a bit the most controlling player there on that list. Reflecting in the background there from the game that just finished. Can you put Ederson, Gomez, and Baleba on them? I think I did that last time. Where does Tonali rank on a short list? Quite high. I do believe that Tonali is quite a strong candidate for now. I think Tonali is a strong candidate for now. But again, I do also believe that Champions League might be very important to him. Now, if he can't get a move to a Champions League club, then maybe, then maybe he would still join us if we miss out. I'm a little, that's the biggest stressor on this whole thing, right? When we look at it is it's not about, each game by game type of thing. It's like, it's the Champions League aspect of it. It's that aspect of it. What if we finish in Champions League or we don't? What do we expect? What can we get? What can we have in the team? That's a bigger concern. That's the part that worries me the most, and where I'm stressful all the time. Where I'm stressed about this on a game-to-game basis. Like, I don't know if you guys realize this. If we lose to Aston Villa, we can be 6th again. In one game, we can be 6th. And then we're going to be playing still Chelsea after that. If we were to not win that game, we'd be in big trouble. And I believe that's at Stamford Bridge, where we never win. It's worrying, man. It's worrying. So I'm thinking through all the different scenarios and things like that in terms of where we're at, in everything, because it's far from a shoo-in or something like that. The other thing I'd say on those midfielders is that, again, I think we still need that top center back. I don't know that it would have made that much of a difference yesterday, but for a lot of games, I think it would help. But yeah, look, I'm just, it's tough. It's each game is quite scary. I don't know that the breaks are good for us. Yeah, we get those big breaks, but are they good for us? Do they make it worse? That I don't know. They might be making it worse. But look, it's not a done deal, Anderson going somewhere else. Again, it is very, very encouraging to hear that Andy Mitten's talking about these names from Spain, because I got a bunch of people list wise there. And yeah. And then, like I said, on the coaching front, we're looking at a bit different. On the coaching front, we're looking at we're setting up conversations and things, but I wouldn't really worry about it yet in terms of who's the front runner or something like that, because we're not really at that stage, as far as I know. We're not really at that stage. But look, I want to know some of your guys' thoughts on this, because obviously there's definitely some negatives here. Do you think we just keep doing what we're doing and we'll win more games, or do you think we need some changes? 30% say small setback, 45% say worry but no panic, and 17% say panic. Let's poll this. I'm going to ask specifically, this question. And I really want to know. Should we change the midfield too? Because I think that we're winning games. When we're winning in spite of them since Arsenal. I really strongly believe this. I think it's so bluntly obvious that it isn't working. And you can say, well, anything we change wouldn't be better. Maybe not. I don't know that it would. But it's not working. So you have to try. You have to try. Because if you don't change and you lose, that's way worse than trying something and losing, in my opinion. Because when you know that this is an obvious problem. We haven't even tried anything else yet under Carrick. So that's my question for you guys. And I'm not saying it's going to be better. I really am not. I'm not saying it's going to be better. But I tell you what, I don't think it could be worse. There's a sequence. The Ugarte record is scary, by the way. Here's the thing about that. Mainu's record was actually the same because he only played when Casemiro wasn't playing. They had like the same record for a while up until recently, until the sequence, you know. The Ugarte thing is very much, it hasn't been good, but his and Casemiro's record together was very good. Ugarte and Mainu's record together is dreadful. So, you know, it's like, you know, you put anybody with Casemiro next to him who has more legs and it actually helps him, you know, and you win more games. It's kind of funny on that front. But I'm not even necessarily talking about Ugarte. You know, I'm saying there's other options that could, for me, represent, you know, an alternative plan that could end up working better.
James, who do you think the best 3 midfielders we can buy if we miss out on Champions League?
The best 3 we could buy. I'm not certain on some of them of whether we can get them in and if we miss out on Champions League. But I would say João Gomez for me is 1. I would say I would really like to see Buwadi come in as a good young player. Maybe Gomez. Fernandez. Fernandez, João, and Buwadi. Yeah, you read my mind there, Marcus. Maybe Fernandez, João, and Buwadi would be 3 very, very good ones. And there's youth in there, and I would still consider Baleba in that myself, but it would be a mixture of those 4 for me. 3 of those 4. I'll be looking at 2 or 3 of those 4 if we didn't get Champions League. And some of them are young, some of them are still growing, all of that. But I think that would be a good unit. It's lacking a little size, but a lot of players lack size right now. But yeah, that would probably be my 4. Mateus Fernandez, Baleba, João Gomez, and Buwadi would be the 4 that I'd be looking to in that case. Yep, you nailed it. But look, like, this is what I'm talking about. If we change things a little bit, you know, if we really wanted to, like, I'm just suggesting, alternatives. Even to this, there's alternative ways of playing. But even if you forget the Ugarte suggestion, if you wanted to like stop pressing, I would just run this. If you could just stop pressing so much, I mean, even this, you'd probably press a little bit better because you have a bit better pressers here. And when he comes back, you could even put Mason Mount in here. And it could be more flat, you know? Like, I don't know. I'm just saying there's things we could try, but there's things we could try to do to get players into their more natural positions, supposedly, or to handle some of the problems that we have. And all of them come with different issues. But I would change the midfield and try something. I don't see what this would do worse than what we've been doing. You know what I mean? Like, how would this be worse? That's the question I've got for you. What about it would be worse? We constantly complain about Bruno losing runners. Cobby's not doing any better on that. I can't show videos on here, obviously, for copyright purposes, but he's not doing any better at it. It's worse. I mean, I'm sorry, but it is. It's like, and then stop, then Bruno won't be pressing from the front, because he's doing that, which is sort of pointless. I genuinely don't think we have anything better. I don't think we're getting more out of our midfield out of possession right now. I just don't. I don't see the actual objective evidence of it beyond some insistences that it's working. I'm not seeing it working. There's a bunch of instances I looked at through when I reviewed the. By the way, if you want to go see the worst sequence of the entire season from our midfield, go watch 13 minutes to 13:30 of the game. It's like, it's actually crazy to me. And I don't know the answer, man. I wish I had an answer for everybody on why things are going the way that they are, but it ain't good. I don't think we're getting anything better out of, I don't think we're getting more out of the midfield with Bruno forward versus Cobby. And I don't think we're getting anything more out of possession. How can we play that 6 attackers and not concede? I mean, it's the same personnel we played most of the season with. And yes, we conceded more goals, but we also scored more goals. So it could be worse, but I'm saying if you did it but that was also in a different shape, right? I was playing with the 3 at the back, different shapes. I'm saying do this because this is your best personnel, but just stop pressing. Just play it in a mid to deep block. We conceded goals with this personnel because we were pressing. We were pressing really high, and so of course it opened up a little bit more. I would go with this, and I would sit in a little bit, because then you have Bruno releasing runners into space very, very often. I don't know. Bruno and pivot doesn't work. It's simple. Okay, well, as long as you can objectively back that up, then fair enough. I said it's mostly things like that when that gets said about things, and I'm like, well, hold on, that's not an objective truth. It's just what we're doing right now isn't working. It's again, in large part, what we're doing right now, we've won games mostly because of better defending deep from our center backs and a few other things. But again, football is the whole thing. There's a lot of different positions, a lot of different players, a lot of different stuff going on. When you win games, everything isn't right, and when you lose games, everything isn't wrong. And that's what I'm looking at, is just that that's not working. Even when we were winning in a few games, it's not working. And what I'm trying to do is get Cunha onto the pitch and into central areas. If we're to if we're going to keep pressing and moving forward and trying to play up the pitch, then I think this is our only choice, because you need the pressing over here, right? And you need him backed up, and that actually makes a good combination. If we're going to completely stop pressing, then we do this. But if we're going to completely stop pressing, then Ahmad doesn't make sense either. Then you just go back to Cunha, because then you're just looking at, you need a runner like Cunha to play on the break. So there's choices. Some of them are personnel-wise. Some of them are not. But I feel like something's got to change. Either we stop pressing and we can keep the team mostly the same and see how it works. Stop opening up those gaps. Or if we want to press, we have to change the team. I just don't know. I don't know yet what's going to be better. I don't think any of us do. It's a gamble either way. But something's got to give, because right now it's just not working. It's just not working. And it would be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. You know, than it's been even in the last few games. You're talking about being physically beaten in the midfield, but you're talking about Bruno for Kabi. Yes, because we're getting physically beaten anyway, but Bruno offers about 50 times more on the ball. That's the point. I don't like Bruno deep. I don't like Casemiro deep. I don't like half the decisions that we are forced to make. They're all trade-offs. But right now, we're playing Casemiro and Mainu for what? What is it? I'm serious. I want like an objective explanation in the last 4 games. What has that partnership done? Not Bruno's bad in the pivot. Not Bruno's this. Not Bruno is that. I'm the first one to blame Bruno if he was actually shit or doing something wrong. You know that. I know what his deficiencies are. What are they doing objectively that is making that midfield worth picking? What is it? Is there more ball progression? Is there more defensive work? What is it? What is the thing that are we playing out the back? No. What are we actually doing that justifies picking those 2 players? Let's not say that they're bad. Let's not say that they're shit. Let's not say that they're this or that. They have strengths and weaknesses like everybody else. What are they doing that justifies picking those 2 players beyond, we don't have to freak out about no academy players on the pitch? What are they doing in the last 4 games? Like actually doing. Not in anybody's head, not narratives, none of that. What are they fucking doing that is making it work? What are they doing? I'm not asking for superlatives. I'm not asking for statements. I'm not asking for subjective decisions. What are they actually doing that is helping anything? Like, what is it? What are they there for in game to accomplish? What part of the game? I don't see any of that. That's what I don't understand. They're not backing up the press. They're not progressing the ball well. We're not playing out of the back and carrying it out of pressure, which I think Kabi would be good at, but we've abandoned it and started just going long every game. You know, they're not winning duels in the midfield. We're not doing anything with that justification. Casemiro is offering something in the box. You know what I mean? Casemiro is. That's what he is offering. But there's no tempo. We haven't fucking touched the ball in 4 games practically. We were getting destroyed by Palace. We were getting destroyed by Everton. We were getting destroyed by Newcastle. There's no tempo. There's no tempo. Our tempo is fucking 0. Our tempo is a car with 3 wheels right now. Where's the tempo? It's not happening. It's that, again, it's a superlative. Set the tempo. What? There is no tempo. There's just no tempo. There's nothing to offer, man. We don't have the ball. We can't control the games, and when we do, we're moving it slow as shit. There's no tempo. That's what I'm saying. What actually has it offered? Not superlatives and ideas. What is it actually offering? In the real world, what's it offering? What is it done? Not what is it supposed to do? What is it done? You know, like, let's use our eyes and observe and say, what has it actually done? That's what I'm asking for, man. What? We could play. I'd rather play Ugarte and Kabi. Like, I'm just saying, like, I would do anything but that midfield right now. Literally anything I would do but that midfield right now. You know? When Dorgu comes back, I put him back in the midfield. But then Ahmad's going to be dropped, or Sheshko's going to be dropped. And when we're not playing on the break, it's not going to work. We forget, like, I love Dorgu, but he only was playing against City and Arsenal. We had 30% possession, man. With 30% possession. So that's fine. If we're going to do that against the next team and the next team and the next team and the next team, then that's fine. Then Dorgu will help with that. As soon as we have a ton of the ball, people are going to go back to saying, Dorgu, he's so shit technically, this and that. We've been through this, man. Dorgu should be at left back when we have more of the ball, not supporting the midfield. Dorgu should be at left back because he can bomb forward, he can maraud, he can attack from deeper positions where we need it. That's one thing that would help us, but that's not going to support the midfield. You know? It's not going to help. In games where we need more of the ball, I think Dorgu is a great option out wide when we are not having a lot of the ball. But now when we're trying to have more of the ball, I don't think Dorgu is that problem solver. I think he's a fullback. You know, like, let's say this thing, allowing Bruno to stay higher, someone mentioned, right? Like, this is the idea. All right. All right, ready? I'm gonna let's actually use our eyeballs. Again, this isn't Kabi shit. This isn't that discussion. This isn't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what the midfield setup is supposed to do right now. What are they doing? Because that's how is Kabi allowing Bruno to stay high? That's my first question. What is actually happening to make that? Because this is their pass maps. Okay? Looks to me, first of all, like Bruno is getting deeper as usual to progress the ball. I will also ask you, show me 4 forward passes from deep from Kabi. You won't find them. Backwards, 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 sideways, 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 backwards, sideways, sideways. 1 forward from right here. 1 forward from right there. Backwards, 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 sideways, sideways, backwards, 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 forward down the wing. He's not getting the ball forward to Bruno. It's, again, not a Kabi bashing session. That's not what he does. Kabi shuttles. He doesn't progress the ball. He's a shuttler. If we were trying to progress the ball wide, then Kabi can do great. Get the ball, set the tempo, boom, wide, boom, wide, boom, wide. Move it back and forth. Move it wide. Instead, we're trying to force it through the center of the pitch with a midfielder who doesn't pass it forward. He passes sideways. This is what I'm saying from a standpoint of why they've got to play. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand the goal. I don't understand the purpose. Do something different. You know, play Bruno with Kabi deep. I literally could not care less. I'm just saying this doesn't make sense. We were playing with 10 men yesterday because between the two of Casemiro and Kabi, they weren't really accomplishing anything. You know, they weren't accomplishing anything. And it's been like that the last few games. You know, I think anyway, it doesn't matter, man. It's just, It just is what it is. It is what it is. And again, I'm talking about balance. I would practically choose anything else because I'm sitting there trying to say, what is the actual objective reason for the choices we're making right now? And how is it helping us in game? You know, if the answer is it's not and it's shit, but we think any other choice is going to be worse, I disagree, but that's actually more understandable. But we can't play through the middle. Whoa. Every single team is loading up the center. Every single team is loading up the center. You can't just play through the middle. You know? This is what happens when you try to play through the middle. They stick 5 guys in the center of the pitch right on your midfield. Look, we're just getting stuck. They just play right through the center of us. Boom, load up the middle with 3 athletic players. And it's every game. It's so easy to counter when your whole plan is just play through the middle. Look at what Palace did. Right in the middle. Right? Let's go back. Oops, wrong team. You know, so that's 2 games. Let's go to Everton. Guess what they did? Surprise, surprise. 3 packed right in the middle. Pretty narrow. They had a lot of the ball, so even then it looks different. Let's go to West Ham. What did they do? Oh, look at that. Pack the middle. Every single team would just pack the middle. You cannot just progress the ball through the center. Everybody's going to do it to us. You know? And this is when Lissandro was here. And you can tell me that it was that people can say it was so much better when we had Lissandro. When? When was it better? We played terrible in this game. It's not the issue. The issue is like, we're so attached now to moving the ball through the middle as our answer. Tottenham went down a man, right? Hard to measure that one. When teams come out and play us and will open up, it's different, right? Look at Fulham. You know, even then, it's just different. You know, it's just different. Yeah, we tried going over Newcastle as well. Like I said, like I look at it and I go, well, if we want to turn things around, we've got to change something. And there's a lot of options. You know, we could play wide. You know, that's what I was trying to do in that suggestion of put Ahmad to the left, put Cunha in the center, and move Bruno deep. Is that maybe then we can hit the ball wider, right? You could try that with the same team. Kabi and Casemiro, Bruno, Ahmad, and Mbumo wide. Or actually push the fullbacks up. We've been so scared to push the fullback up, and I don't know why. That part bothers me. We won't push our fullbacks up. We push Dowlow up, but he just sits and he was just sitting in Mazraoui. They were just sitting in Mbumo's lap. We're pushing the fullback up on the wrong side. We need to push the fullback up on the left, not on the right, on the left. So I don't know. There's some scary things, but I'm just saying, like, I think that we've got to try something between now and the next game to turn some things around. Yeah, he just hasn't shown it, and I'm just going like, I don't know, just something's got to change. Something's got to give here. Just playing wide help with a low block. Yeah, it's usually the main counter to a low block is playing wide. Yeah. I agree with you, Cliff. Shaw doesn't have the legs to go to left back. That's why he was better as a left center back. But that's where I'm saying, like, we've just changed one problem for another everywhere on the pitch right now, which is why it's a bit of a stressful exercise, the whole thing, because we have so many weaknesses. Anytime we make a change, we do something tactically, we're just saying, hey, let's just switch this problem for another problem. And you're going, well, fuck. So anyway, guys, it's a healthy debate. I'm very frustrated because I feel like you could see this all coming, and it's not about the manager. It's about the team, the weaknesses that we have. And I just don't know the answer. That's the part that's stressful. Like, what are we going to do, man? What are we going to do to turn the performances around and make sure that this is a blip and we go back to winning? And I think we'll have to try something. I think we're going to have to change something because I don't think we can keep doing what we're doing. And it works. But we got a lot of days. I don't know if I'll have a video tomorrow. I'm burnt. I'm definitely burnt right now and tired, and tomorrow I've got shit to do, and maybe not tomorrow, but I'll be back on the weekend. Either way, maybe we'll have some more news. Maybe we'll have other things during this once again long break. But yeah, we got time. We got time to figure it out against Villa and turn things around and hopefully make some adjustments. I swear I don't want to see players going off, taking days off to travel to Dubai though. That kind of irritates me. Stay in Manchester. Work in Manchester. No days off. Show us something when you come back. Okay? All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out today. Again, you can go reference earlier parts in the video to talk about the manager stuff, transfer stuff, otherwise. And that's it. All right? Have a good evening, everyone. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys again soon. Okay? Good night. Make sure to smash a like on the video on your way out. Helps me a lot. Appreciate it. And check out the tactics video from earlier as well. See you guys.